Did it once, going to do it again, aren't you?
Could try.
15 seconds, please. During what months of pregnancy does a woman begin to look pregnant?
September.
Something. Oh. Hold the clock.
Without a doubt, Family Feud is clearly one
Luckily,
of the
the clock
best-known
doesn't
game
start.
shows, and Richard Dawson back in the day hosted it. Now it's hosted by Steve Harvey. But I couldn't help but think of this show on this Holy Hilarity Day when we are focusing on game shows for our theme. There are many scholars who think that the Gospel of John, from which we get our gospel reading, is in some ways revealing a family feud. The family is the Jewish people, and the feud is happening between the Galilean Jews, those who are folks who are from where Jesus was from, small towns, rural areas, and the Judean Jews, and that is the big city Jews, the Jewish temple leadership. Unfortunately, in our translation from the text today, and we get a bad translation today. It says, "While it was evening on that day, and the house and the doors of the house where the disciples had met were locked for fear of the Jews, Jesus came and stood among them." For fear of the Jews? They're all Jews, including the disciples who have locked themselves behind closed doors. Many scholars point out that the word Jews should be translated Judeans. They're afraid of the Jewish big city leaders who have cooperated with the Romans in crucifying Jesus. Now, it is likely that John's audience includes a lot of Jews who are sitting on the fence about the Jesus movement. At about the time the Gospel of John was written, the Christian Jews were being forced out of the synagogues. They were no longer allowed to worship there. And some of these Christian Jews and some other Jews were afraid then to continue in the Jesus movement or to enter into it in the first place. Some of them were sitting on the proverbial fence, and John wants to get them off the fence. He is in some ways entering a family feud with some of his brothers and sisters, trying to unite the family around the story of Jesus, whom he thinks is the Son of God, the Messiah. Now, you'll note who the primary character is in today's text, a doubter named Thomas. Thomas isn't so sure about all of this resurrection stuff. Is he one who is sitting on the fence? Probably. Clearly, he is one who was not present when the risen Christ initially appeared to his disciples. It was on Easter night that they all gathered together. Why was Thomas not there? Were his kids involved in a traveling hockey league? Did he decide to go away on a cruise for spring break? I don't know. Or is he simply moving on in his life? Did Jesus' death mean a great disillusionment for him that caused him to withdraw from the community that had been the focus of his life for a long time? We don't know for sure, but for certain, he is not there when the risen Christ comes through the walls and the locked doors. He wasn't there when Jesus, for the first time, showed his wounds, his nailed hands, and his pierced side. Now, in my opinion, a lot of times Thomas gets a bad rap. He is simply defined by his doubt, as if doubt is the worst thing that people of faith can experience or display. But I don't think Thomas appears in this story of John for us to criticize doubt and highlight the importance of certainty. Let's face it, certainty produces many more problems than does doubt. Certainty burned witches at the stake. Certainty ran planes into buildings. Certainty often prevents people from laughing at themselves. Some of the most difficult people to be around are those who are so doggone certain about everything. You often want to run from them, or I often want to stick a needle in them and let all of the air out. These kinds of folks often are not a lot of fun. Tied to their certainties, they have a hard time of letting go of everything. And they enter into family feuds without much humor at all. I don't think Thomas and his questioning and need for more information are problems. Sure, John wants his readers to get off the fence and join the Jesus movement. After all, he says that the purpose of his writing is for the sake of our coming to trust that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God. But Thomas's problem is that he wasn't there when the risen Christ appeared the first time. And even that doesn't seem to be a big problem, because guess what? A whole lot of us weren't there when Jesus appeared. And that seems to be the point. In the story, Thomas is said to be a twin. While I cannot be certain, certainty is much worse than doubt, I think this twin motif is John's way of getting us into the story. Who is his twin brother or his twin sister? Us. We are the twins of Thomas because we weren't there. We depend upon the witness of others. We live with a lot of uncertainty. We want to see and we want to experience life firsthand. Thomas isn't the bad guy. The questioners are not the bad people. The doubters are not the bad folks. The seekers are not the bad folks. Actually, and I think our kinds of Christians need to get this. There is a lot of Christianity out there that offers a large dose of certainty, answers to every question, prescriptions to eliminate doubt, never-ending happy songs, and Bible quotes for every problem. And yes, there are folks out there who need that kind of approach, but there are also others for whom this kind of Christianity has proven to be a big disappointment, sometimes even a lie. You won't believe the kinds of cover-up jobs that need to occur when the cracks in the walls of Christian certainty start to appear. Thomas is real. Doubt, uncertainty, messiness, they're all real. In my opinion, you and I do our best work when we allow the realness to shine through, when we embrace doubt, when we can laugh at the silliness that sometimes is ourselves, when Thomas becomes not so much of a villain but a hero, when what matters is not so much our getting it all right, but what matters is the presence of the risen Christ who is persistent in making himself known to us even when we don't get it right. The first week, Thomas wasn't there. The risen Christ was. And almost as if he needed to provide Thomas a do-over, he shows up a week later when Thomas was present. Experience my wounds, he says to Thomas. I'm not only the risen one. I, like you, am the wounded one. A part of living out of hope is to know that the very heart of God is wounded with the wounds of life. Thomas, I'm showing up for you. And you who are twins of Thomas, I am showing up for you too. I am bringing you into my risen life, but I'm also bringing my wounds to you. I'm just going to keep coming to you, risen and crucified, through word and sacrament, through preaching, through bread and wine, through the waters of baptism, through the sacrament that is creation, through the ordinary interaction between you and other people who also are seekers and doubters and who are just trying to find their way. I'm going to keep coming to you you, even if sometimes you run and hide, even though anxiety and fear often run your show. I'm going to be persistent as I was with those disciples who gathered behind locked doors. And I'm going to keep coming to you, and I'm going to keep saying to you, peace be with you. My shalom be with you. And I'm going to say it not just once. I'm going to keep saying it. I know how you are. I know how you keep locking the doors. I know how you keep living out of fear. But I'm going to show up time and time and time again. And I'm going to bring my wounds to you. And I'm going to bring them to you all the way up to your death and beyond. You know, when I hear that, and when I trust that, I'm ready to relax a bit. I'm ready to laugh, to not take myself, my vices and my virtues so seriously. I'm ready to get off the fence. Not that I have it all together and that I understand everything. Not at all. Doubt and questions remain all the time, but this story of an amazing risen love that won't stop coming after me with its peace draws me in. It compels me. It won't let go of me. And I feel I can't let go of it. I don't know about you, but this story seems to bring the feud to an end. This is a story that won't let any of us go. Shalom. Peace to everybody and everything. Amen.